From unknown to unforgettable, the legacy we leave behind. Have you ever wondered what happens to the seeds we plant when no one's watching? When the cameras aren't rolling, when social media is turned off, when the spotlight shines elsewhere? I recently had the extraordinary privilege of interviewing Zakiyah Omar, a visionary whose work has transformed communities through authentic leadership and unwavering commitment to service. Her insights have fundamentally shifted how I understand legacy and purpose. Zakiyah isn't just building programs, she's architecting spaces where healing happens, where communities find their voice, where the invisible becomes seen. Her work spans generations, creating ripples that touch lives she may never meet, yet will forever be changed because of her courage to begin when no one was watching. Our conversation revealed something so profound, so elementally true about legacy that I haven't been able to stop thinking about it since. It distills down to this simple, powerful truth. We arrive unknown. We leave loved by millions. That's it. That's the journey that matters most. Not the followers, not the fame, not the blue check marks or the corner offices or the validation from strangers. The truth is, most of us will never trend on social media. Most of us will never give a TED talk. Most of us will never see our names in lights or on bestseller lists or in history books. And that's perfectly, wonderfully, liberatingly okay, because legacy isn't measured in applause. It's measured in impact that outlives recognition. It's counted in lives touched, not likes received. It's calculated in transformation, not transaction. When I spoke with Zakiyah Omar about her experiences building community centered spaces, she shared something that literally stopped me in my tracks. The most meaningful work often happens in the shadows where no cameras are rolling and no one's keeping score. Think about that for a moment. Really sit with it. In a world obsessed with metrics and visibility, there's something revolutionary, even subversive, about showing up authentically when no one's watching, about planting seeds you might never see bloom, about building something that matters without needing your name engraved on the cornerstone. Consider the story of Rona Davis Moore, who founded Zakiyah House with nothing but determination and a vision for healing in her community. No funding, no fame, no followers, just purpose. The beginning was lonely, painfully so. Local leaders were skeptical, some openly dismissive. Resources were scarce to the point of non existence. Trust was hard earned, one conversation at a time, one disappointment after another. But Rana showed up anyway, day after day, support circle after support circle, mentorship program after mentorship program. When the heating failed in winter, she brought blankets. When funding fell through, she used her grocery money. When volunteers didn't show, she worked alone. She didn't wait for permission to make a difference. She didn't wait for the spotlight to find her. She simply began where she was with what she had, doing what she could. Today, Zakiyah House serves hundreds annually. Its alumni have launched their own initiatives across the region. Similar models have sprouted nationwide, creating an ecosystem of healing that began with one woman who refused to wait on until conditions were perfect. From unknown to unforgettable, not because Rana chased fame, but because she chased purpose. That's the first lesson Zakiyah Omar's work teaches us. Embrace the power of starting unknown. Every journey begins somewhere, often in obscurity. What matters isn't your starting point, but your willingness to show up authentically, plant seeds of purpose, and trust that your contributions will bear fruit even when you're unseen. It's not about where you begin. It's about what you nurture and how deeply you commit to your vision. I'll be honest, this isn't easy in a culture that worships visibility. We've been conditioned to believe that if it's not posted, it didn't happen. If it's not viral, it's not valuable. If it's not trending, it's not transformative. What a tragic misunderstanding of how change actually works. Real change happens in living rooms before it happens in legislatures, in classrooms before conference halls, in quiet conversations before keynote speeches, in showing up consistently when no one's applauding. Which brings me to the second lesson from my conversation with Zakiyah Omar: cultivate impact that outlasts recognition. Consider Zakiyah Moss, an entrepreneur who began her journey without celebrity status or widespread support. While others chased external validation, she focused on authenticity over popularity. In her words, she prioritized minding the business that pays me, staying true to her brand values while cultivating peaceful growth at her own pace. Financial uncertainty loomed. There were months when making payroll seemed impossible. Societal pressure to seek fame knocked at her door daily. Why don't you have more followers? When are you going to scale? Have you tried reaching out to this influencer? But Zakia refused shortcuts toward notoriety, allowing her reputation and impact to grow steadily through word of mouth advocacy. She built relationships instead of platforms. She focused on depth rather than reach. Today, she operates successful businesses grounded in integrity, proof that quiet consistency yields lasting love from those who matter most. Her customers don't just buy her products, they believe in her vision. They don't just follow her brand, they embody its values. Her example encourages aspiring entrepreneurs, particularly Black entrepreneurs, to focus on substance over spectacle, to build something that matters rather than something that merely attracts attention. True legacy, after all, is measured by the lives touched and uplifted along the way, not just accolades or fame. It's about serving with intention, building community, and leaving a positive imprint that endures long after you've moved on. I'm reminded of something Maya Angelou once said: people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. That's the currency of legacy. Not impressions, but impact. Not reach, but resonance. Not followers, but transformation. And here's where it gets really interesting. Zakiyah Omar shared with me a family project led by Zakiyah Moss that highlights untold stories within Black history, showcasing how personal narratives preserve culture beyond individual lifetimes. This project faced significant barriers: generational trauma that made stories painful to share, lack of archival records that erased crucial context, initial disinterest among youth participants unfamiliar with their heritage roots. But by weaving together oral histories, what they beautifully call our story, creative drama workshops, and intergenerational dialogue sessions, something magical happened. Inclusive storytelling brought families closer together while honoring ancestors' struggles and triumphs. The initiative began quietly at home, just a grandmother sharing stories with reluctant teenagers who initially reached for their phones every 5 minutes. But something shifted when they began to see themselves in these narratives, when they recognized their own resilience reflected in the journeys of those who came before. What started small now reaches schools citywide each February during Black History Month celebrations. Young people who once rolled their eyes at old stories now stand proudly sharing them on stages, understanding that they are not just recipients of history, but its carriers and creators. This work ensures future generations inherit not just stories, but also strength drawn from knowing they too can leave a mark loved by millions, from unknown to unforgettable again. Which brings me to the third lesson from my conversation with Zakiyah Omar: lead with authenticity and resilience. Challenges are inevitable, especially for Black professionals navigating uncharted spaces or anyone living with adversity. Your resilience in facing obstacles inspires others to persevere and thrive. When we show up authentically, scars, struggles, and all, we create permission for others to do the same. We transform vulnerability from weakness into strength. We turn our wounds into wisdom that lights the way for those who follow. This is particularly powerful for communities that have historically been marginalized or silenced. When you lead with authenticity, despite systems designed to keep you small, you're not just changing your story, you're changing the narrative for generations to come. I'm reminded of the African proverb: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Legacy isn't a solo sport, it's a relay race where we pass the baton to those who come after us, hoping they'll carry it further than we ever could. So, where does this leave us? How do we apply these lessons to our own lives? First, embrace the power of starting unknown. Release the need for immediate recognition. Trust that meaningful work often begins in obscurity. Plant seeds today that might not bloom until long after you're gone. Second, cultivate impact that outlasts recognition. Focus on serving with intention rather than performing for attention. Build community rather than chasing celebrity. Leave places and people better than you found them. Third, lead with authenticity and resilience. Show up as your full self, especially when it's difficult. Let your struggles inform your service. Transform your challenges into compassion. I want to challenge you with one actionable commitment today. Choose one area where you feel unknown right now and take one bold step this week toward planting seeds there. Whether it means reaching out for mentorship, launching a passion project quietly online, or supporting someone else behind the scenes, trust that your efforts matter even if applause is delayed. Your legacy grows every time you act authentically despite uncertainty. Remember, we arrive unknown. We leave loved by millions, not because we sought fame, but because we serve faithfully. Not because we demanded attention, but because we gave attention to what matters. Not because we built monuments to ourselves, but because we became monuments of possibility for others. In the words of Zakiyah Omar, the question isn't whether you'll be remembered. The question is what you'll be remembered for. So let me ask you, what seeds are you planting when no one's watching? What legacy are you building beyond the spotlight? What impact will outlive your recognition? Because here's the beautiful truth: the most meaningful contributions often happen in the shadows. The most transformative work rarely makes headlines. The most enduring legacies begin with someone who was willing to start unknown. And that someone is you. You may arrive unnoticed, but your gifts are desperately needed in this broken world. And when shared bravely, consistently, authentically, you'll leave footprints adored by more souls than you'll ever meet. From unknown to unforgettable. That's not just a journey, that's a revolution. That's a legacy. That's a life that matters. Thank you.